Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday evening. We know the football season is still about 2.5 months away, but it's never too early to talk fantasy football. So I have my brother here with me, Justin, and we're going to go ahead and give our picks for our top 5 fantasy football tight ends in PPR leagues this year. Justin, you want to go ahead and say hello?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
All right. Good to see you, bro. We'll go ahead and get started here. So again, here's a look at our top 5 scoring PPR fantasy football tight ends in 2021. We have Mark Andrews at number 1, Travis Kelsey number 2, Dalton Schultz number 3, Travis Kelsey, George Kittle at number 4, and then Zach Ertz at number 5. Definitely was surprised when I was doing my research to see that Dalton Schultz finished at number 3. Considering the offensive firepower that Dallas had last year. Was also a little surprised to see Zach Ertz at number 5. I expected to see Darren Waller in that top 5 and was surprised to see he wasn't there. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started with your top 5 fantasy football tight ends in 2022.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, everyone again. Just want to start by saying super excited to get talking fantasy football again. Season's coming up here soon. Hoping our squad, the 49ers, can go to the next level. But I won't get all bias opinionated over here. My top tight ends, it's just super hard talking about tight ends, honestly, because I feel like every year, you have the mainstays. You got Kelsey and Andrews, which, by the way, I have as my top 2 tight ends for fantasy football. This year, Kelsey and Andrews by far receive the most targets of any tight end in the league. They stay healthy, their quarterbacks love them, and they play in offenses that really, try and pepper them the ball. Kelsey in particular this year, I feel like is going to have an even bigger year. He should wind up back number 1, in my opinion, over Andrews. Because of the sheer fact that Tyreek Hill's no longer going to be there. There's going to be a large target share available, and Kelsey's already getting 20% of the target share there, so he's going to get probably a handful more targets coming his way. He did score 9 touchdowns last year too. So Andrews, he got 154 targets last year, by far the most of any tight end. He finished number 1, obviously. I do see him taking a step back. And then from there, like I said, tight end is kind of difficult. So these next 3 picks of mine are all kind of I guess crapshoots. I could be wrong here, type picks, but I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts. He didn't score a lot last year. He finished PPR tight end number 6, and he only scored 1 touchdown. So he's going to get the volume. The volume's going to be there. He's going to get volume like a wide receiver. But I see him in the range of touchdowns this year that guys like Kelsey and Andrews were at last year, like 8, 9 touchdowns on the year, which should definitely boost him into that top 5 range. I know the quarterback change and everything, but, no Calvin Ridley. They're going to have to throw the ball to someone, and I think Kyle Pitts is going to be the beneficiary there. George Kittle. He missed a little bit of time last year. He could have easily been ranked higher last year. But with Kittle, I think it's going to be more addition by subtraction. I know he loves Garoppolo, but you can't say enough about a quarterback who has a strong arm, who can throw the ball deep and really hit Kittle in the type of element I think he likes to be in when he's playing as a receiver. We all know he can run block and all that, but when he's playing as a receiver, I think he likes to get the ball deep. I think he loves those streak patterns, the post routes and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I do believe he's going to score a lot more this year as well. He did have 6 touchdowns last year, but I think he's going to score a bit more this year with Trey Lance at the helm. And then my surprise pick here, I know, anyone watching our podcast and anyone listening in, giving an opinion might look and go, Freiermuth. I don't even know how to say the guy's name for what Freiermuth, but I can say I like his game. I like his game a lot. From his production was mainly from week 8 on, and again with him, it's addition by subtraction. No Ebron there after last year. The first 6 weeks of the season, he was in a virtual timeshare with Ebron. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback as his quarterback, but he wasn't playing at a Hall of Fame level. So I think that having a young, excited quarterback coming in there is going to give at least as much as an aging Ben Roethlisberger gave him. And he did score a lot of touchdowns as well. He had 7 touchdowns, 6 of those coming in the latter half of the season. From week 8 to the end of the season, Freiermuth was PPR tight end number 7. So with a full season under his belt, he could actually, as unquestioned starter, he could easily creep into that top 5. And those are my picks for top tight end. Man, it's hard to say. Anyone else could have crept in there. I think you have maybe a pick or two different, but a couple of other tight ends could easily creep up in there. But these are my picks.
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't argue with your top 5. I think that could easily be the top 5 fantasy football tight ends this year. I do have a couple different ones. I like Freiermuth. I think that, depending on the quarterback situation and how Pittsburgh is able to resolve that, he could definitely, be a major player in fantasy football leagues this year. I don't think it's going to lead to very many Pittsburgh Steelers wins on the football field. But again, we're talking about fantasy football, and what matters is how many yards and touchdowns you get and catches. So I think that with a young quarterback, which is probably what's going to end up being, who's going to end up being the starter in Pittsburgh, tight ends are typically one of their best friends. So I definitely see him creep. He has a chance to creep up into that top 5. I really can't argue with much of what you said there. Again, Pitts, like you said, Atlanta's got to throw the ball to somebody. Kittle, same thing. I agree with you. Trey Lance is definitely, I feel, an upgrade from Jimmy Garoppolo. I think one of the other things that Trey Lance brings to the table is his ability to extend plays. He's going to be able to extend plays, and those broken plays where normally they would be off schedule and you'd see a Jimmy Garoppolo overthrow that turned into an interception going the other way. I think Trey Lance is going to have the ability to use his legs to allow his receivers to get open on those broken plays, and Kittle will be one of the benefactors of that for sure. So again, I couldn't argue with your top 5, and I could easily see these guys finishing in the top 5. But again, I do have a couple picks different than you. My top 5, I have the top 2 the same. I have Andrews. I feel like he's going to finish number 1 again. I think Baltimore is really going to be reliant on him. They got rid of Hollywood Brown. I'm not sure how much they upgraded their offense this year. Lamar Jackson is still going through his contract negotiations. I feel as much as Lamar, uses his legs and things like that to run and make defenders look silly, if he's not under contract when the season starts, I think that he's going to make a conscious effort to throw the ball more, stay in the pocket more, protect himself more to avoid injury. And I think, again, his receivers, and in particular, Andrews is going to be one of the beneficiaries of that. Travis Kelsey, again, obviously Tyreek Hill is gone. So he's going to, like you said, get an increased workload. And we all know what Travis Kelsey can do. He's got a phenomenal quarterback. He's got one of the best, if not the best, play caller in all of football as his head coach. So I think he'll be just fine. And I see him having a great season, finishing number 2. I actually have Kittle at number 3, again, for the reasons that I talked about earlier. I think he's going to benefit from Trey Lance being able to extend plays, find him on those broken plays in open field. I do agree with you that Kittle loves to run downfield and make, those long catches and then continue to run after that. We've seen him make some amazing plays with run after catch, catching the ball in the middle of the field and then taking it for a touchdown. So I think, again, Trey Lance has the ability to hit him in those deep patterns and again, gain more yards. Obviously, you're talking about points per reception. He's going to be one of Trey Lance's main targets and go-to targets, I imagine. So he's really going to probably rack up the points with a young quarterback. I have Darren Waller in my top 4. I went back and forth. I had Ertz in there for a minute. I had Pitts in there for a minute. As I started looking at things, and I know the Raiders just picked up Davante Adams, which is going to take away from it's going to take away from Waller's target share. I understand that. But where I think Waller is going to actually benefit more and be more of a threat is in the red zone. And we're talking about fantasy football, nothing gets you more points than touchdowns. I feel because Davante Adams is so good, let's face it, he's probably if not the best, he's in the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in all of football, whether you're talking about on the field or fantasy, period. So, but I think because he's so good, he's going to draw so much attention in the red zone because that's where he's actually a very dangerous threat as well. I think it's going to open things up for Waller to be able, and Derek Carr, obviously, to kind of pick and choose who do I want to throw the jump ball to this time. So that's why I have Waller in my top 5 because I feel like he may catch less passes, but I feel like he's going to catch more touchdowns because he's going to benefit from Davante Adams. And then I have Dallas Goedert on there as my surprise pick. Again, I went back and forth between him, Ertz, Kyle Pitts. But I went with Goedert just because I like what Philly has brewing. I like the quarterback situation they have there with Jalen Hurts. I know a lot of people don't believe that he's he's a franchise quarterback, but I believe otherwise. I think I told you last year. I said it all last year. The guy just wins, right? He's not going to be the best quarterback in the history of football, but I think that he's not going to finish his career with a losing record. I think he just finds ways to win. He's done it his entire career. All the way from college through the pros now. And I think that he's really comfortable with Goedert. Goedert actually has been predicted on other sites to be in the top 6 or 7 as tight ends as well. So, again, I went back and forth, but I just like what Philly has brewing. I like what they do on offense. And I feel like Jalen Hurts just gets more and more comfortable the more he plays with Goedert. And with Ertz being gone, obviously, he pretty much is the man over there. So, that's my top 5 as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, actually, so with Kelsey and Kittle, there's not much to be said there. Like I think everyone in the fantasy football world agrees that those guys are mainstays in the top 3 of fantasy football. Kittle, doesn't surprise me that we both have him up there in our top 5. It's the guys that come after that, actually, you touched on it a little bit earlier. You had been going back and forth. We actually, you and I were texting about, the tight ends and like how many different tight ends were going through our head after like that number 3, number 4 tight ends. Like, man, I was pretty surprised to see Goedert there because he didn't even come up in conversation, which I don't know how he didn't come up in any of our conversations. But yeah, it does make sense. I do like what Philly has brewing over there as well. I like Hurts, in fact, as a fantasy QB. But we'll talk about that on another show. Waller, he missed a good amount of time last year. I was actually looking when you were talking about him. He only played 11 games last year. I didn't realize he played so few games. So a big bounce back from him as long as he's healthy. So I could see that happening. And there's just so many guys, like you said, Ertz. So see, that's who I was expecting there to be in your number 5 spot when you pulled it up. And I was like, why doesn't he have Ertz in the Eagles uniform still? And then I realized
I kept going back and forth. Yeah, I kept going back and forth. Like I told you earlier, I thought about putting Logan Thomas in there. I'm just not sure how healthy he's going to be, obviously, coming off of that injury. But I think if he's healthy and he's, 90% and gets healthy, as the season goes along, but if he starts week 1, I think that Logan Thomas has a good chance to finish in the top 5 with Wentz as the quarterback.
Hawkinson, too, all the way almost through the whole first half of the season, he was tight end. Gosh, he was easily in the top 5. I know for a fact because he was helping carry one of my fantasy teams.
But
a couple of injuries set him back. So I can't argue with who you have there. I think tight ends is relatively difficult to really argue with who anyone has outside of like their top 3 or 4. Top 2, if anyone's got anyone other than Kelsey and Andrews. in their top 2 or 3, that's
Yeah,
tough. You
I'm
can
a little
argue
unsure about
all
that.
day, but once you go past that, it's like, well, pick your poison.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. I agree. And really, again, that's why they play the games. And, hopefully the guys that I pick are the ones that come out on top, because I really need to win the fantasy football league this year.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm in a couple of leagues. I'll probably have a couple of these different guys. So as long as one of them does really, really, really good, I should hopefully win a league.
Yep. All right, that's all we got. Next week, please join back, watch again. We're going to give our top 5 running backs, and then we'll break down another position group, probably wide receivers the week after that. Then obviously the main one, quarterbacks. And then we'll jump into giving our division breakdowns each week up until the season starts. So good chatting with you, bro. Always good talking about football, whether it's on the field or fantasy football. And everybody have a good night. Be kind, even the Cowboys fans, and we'll see you next week.